Aloha, hello everybody. This is Alika, the Hawaiian Blanco. Welcome to this part segment of the WMOW podcast. And today I have a very special guest, a very important person, an influence to me as well as some other people. He's the overseer of the main page for New Hawaii 808s, and he is a very talented man in many different areas in his own different rights. And he's been doing this for quite some time. And introducing to all you guys, Crichton, welcome back. How are you?
Aloha. I'm doing well, Alika. How are you doing today?
I'm so freaking pumped to just actually have you here for actually talking one-on-one for the first time in audio or voice or even like from any shape or form. So I'm just very appreciative and, mahalo plenty for joining me and for being part of the WMOW's podcast because, I got big plans for this and everybody's been asking for a more in-depth kind of format. So, again, mahalo for doing your part in helping me out with this.
Oh, mahalo for having me. It's an honor to be here. Thank you.
Okay, so I wanted to just ask you a couple questions. Mostly, I wanted a lot of your insight and some of your mana'o on the evolution of comedy in Hawaii. So this was you're like one of the people that I really actually wanted for this kind of topic. Mostly because I know that you see a lot of upcoming comedians for the last 10 years at least that I know of, and going back to how comedy in Hawaii first started, one of the big influencers that we recently lost that just passed away, Mel Cabang, one of the four original of the Na'ali'i of comedy for Hawaii. Yeah. And this one's like there's a lot of his comedy as well as like Augie T, Mel, Greg Hammer, Andy Bumatai, all these guys. What was it about them, or was it any of those four, anybody in general that was a past comedian that made you want to get into comedy?
All of them for sure. All the ones you mentioned, I'm a big fan of. You brought up Mel Kabang, who unfortunately we lost recently, who really, he had a unique talent. Mel, I know probably a lot of younger people might not be familiar with him or his work or his ability, but he had this like wit to him. Whereas like there's different styles of comedy, right? So there's people who write and prepare stuff beforehand and then they deliver it, which is cool. That's great. Like everybody has their own style, and I appreciate all styles. Mel was one of those people where he actually kind of like, I don't know if everybody knows this, but Mel Kabang kind of fell backwards into comedy. He was a singer and a musician, and I think some people still remember him as such. But he would be singing and performing at places, and in between his songs, just the way he would interact with the crowd and how funny he was, people kept pushing him to go into comedy. Like, you're so funny, you should just do stand-up comedy. But even when he did comedy, he would include music because, music was the beginning of his whole path in entertainment. So there's not a lot of material out there on the internet that really shows Mel doing his thing. So if anyone's listening to this, that's Mel Kabang's family or fans that might have some sort of media, I highly encourage them to put it out, whether it's on YouTube or Instagram or whatever, just to help his legacy to live on, because he was a super talented guy, very, very funny, and I think the world should be able to see what he could do.
Yeah, because usually when you hear a lot of upcoming people wanting to do the whole comedy on social media nowadays, it's like one of the more familiar names that you would hear from them be asked, like, oh, who's your favorite Hawaii comedian? Majority of the time you hear Augie T or even Andy Bumatai, mostly because they're still doing their thing on social media as compared to a lot of the other old timers from back then. Maybe if you get like the one chance, if you hear like say the younger generation say that they like Uncle Raps from watching Raps of Hawaii and his stuff. Auntie Maria Lani's cooking show was always passed around. Like the video was always passed around every single time because like, oh, I heard that line. I was like, oh, what is that from? It's like some Rap Rettinger, and it was like, who is that? It's like Rap Rettinger. Like, how do you even spell that, right? So, Mel Kabang was like just one of those names that you had to know if you was really into comedy before, and you nowadays his name is not brought up as much, mostly unless you grew up with that kind of comedy. So it's really good to hear. Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. I was just gonna say Mel was you mentioned Na'ali'i of comedy, which is Mel Cabang, Frank DeLima, Augie T, Andy Bumatai. I don't know if Kaleo Pulanka was part of that at some point, but I know out of those guys who are all, those are four of the biggest names alive as far as Hawaii comedy. But Mel was the oldest out of all of them. And
and then there was like Frank DeLima. And
Frank would be after him. Uncle Frank DeLima. See, the thing is, a lot of us, like people my generation, we all know Uncle Frank DeLima because he came to all of our elementary schools when he was growing up. Right?
Saying like going on a Buta Hot song and like I remember seeing that
peanut jelly, all the, and that's really why, if you think about it, all of us who grew up in Hawaii who know Frank DeLima, the majority of us, is because he came to our schools. But Mel Cabang, if you wanted to know his comedy, you had to actually go out to a bar or a club that he was at, and so I was actually too young for that. So the only reason I really know Mel Cabang is because once I really started getting into comedy, then I used to, people who had videos of him or whatever would share it with me, and that's how I started to become familiar with who he is. But you talk about Uncle Replinger, Rap Hawaii, who in my opinion is the GOAT of Hawaii comedy, hands down.
You can't argue with that. You can't.
I'll fight anybody on that one. He is the most influential comedian as far as Hawaii comedy of all time, in my opinion. And the great thing about Uncle Rap is that his stuff was all published. So there's the audio recordings, right? There's the videos. And a lot of those videos are out on YouTube. You actually can find a lot of videos out on Instagram even. Like his used car salesman video, or the soda test video, or Fate Yanagi, or any
room service, or
the room service. That might be my favorite one of all time. But Uncle Rap, I think, because he was able to kind of package his comedy in a way that it could live on forever. That's why a lot of young people today, you mentioned Instagram, which, as you also mentioned, is the main way that I've been involved in comedy in Hawaii, is through Instagram and Facebook. That's big now, and that's because social media is the easiest way to share things nowadays. That's where all the eyes are. So it's easy to put Uncle Rap out there, and that's why I want to encourage people to, if they have video of Uncle Mel Kabang, to put that out there too, so that his legacy can live on. Even older, because Frank DeLima too, man, he had some classic stuff back in the day that I haven't really been able to find on social media. Like, you remember when he did Abdullah Fata'ai.
He did a lot of he was more of the
Glenn Miyashiro.
And then a lot of his Portuguese jokes. Majority of his stand-up was mostly in the CD area, so a lot of his content was mostly posted on CDs or video cassettes. And
that's true.
I think if it would be nice if anybody who could upload anything from Mel Kabang, it would actually do so much well and why it was such a big impact on some of the upcoming comedians like yourself and I and some other guys that we constantly work with, and being part of that big influence that made a lot of us want to go into comedy in the first place, right? And maybe you could show like some of his old material and how he really was, since like you said, we were too young to be into the bars to watch his stuff in the first place. What was it like before you got into comedy though? Like if whoever your influencer was, like who was it? What was it like before you started thinking about getting into comedy, and what made you want to continue onto that path?
Oh, that's such a good question. So I don't know that I ever thought that I would even get involved in any sort of comedy at all. I mean, it's always been fun to me. I've always been a really big fan of comedy, all forms of comedy. So comedic TV shows, comedy movies, stand-up comedy. I watch a lot of stand-up comedy. I always have. I was a big Dave Chappelle fan, Cat Williams, Jim Gaffigan, Anthony Jeselnik. Like, there's, I mean, I could actually go on and on. Rory Scovel. Like, I'm a big stand-up comedy fan. But my uncle, Gus Hanneman, who he's Mufi Hanneman's older brother. Okay. So, yeah, our former mayor, Mufi Hanneman, he had an older brother named Gus. And Uncle Gus Hanneman, he was the MC for like almost every event that I went to growing up as a kid.
Oh, and, okay. That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, and he was hilarious. I mean, he used to just make everybody laugh so hard. You would cry and spit out your food and fall on the floor. Like, he was one of the funniest people I ever experienced in my life. And so anytime he was emceeing an event, we knew it was going to be good. I mean, even funerals, he used to make people laugh so hard at funerals, like you almost forgot that you were sad. So, like, he just had this gift, He had this gift of making people enjoy themselves. And really, that's what comedy is, because comedy is entertainment, right? In all forms of entertainment, the whole idea is just giving people an experience, helping people to access certain emotions, right? So whether we're watching a film or we're listening to someone perform music or we're listening to someone tell jokes, we're looking for an experience. And Uncle Gus Hanneman, that's what he gave us every single time. And I just remember just thinking he was so awesome and funny all the time. And so the first time someone asked me to MC something, I was like, me? I was like, you want me to MC? And I was so confused. And they're like, yeah, we think you'd be perfect for it. And I actually fought it. The first several times I fought it. Like, no, you don't want me. You want somebody who's experienced. You want somebody who, like, knows what they're doing. And really, thankfully, a few of my cousins and some other people really just kind of pushed me into emceeing. And then once I started doing it, more and more gigs started coming, and then from that I started getting opportunities to be involved in other sorts of entertainment and comedy opportunities. But that's really how it started, I think, was watching my Uncle Gus just kill it at all of these luau's, baby luau's, birthday parties, all types of events. I just remember watching him on stage and thinking, I want to be like him. That looked like so much fun. So that's actually really, that's like, sorry to cut you off, but that's like, that's actually really, really such a good story to hear, that it actually came, one of your big influences to do what you do now is actually a family member that does stuff like that. And I know a lot of the majority of people usually find an outside source, like maybe they saw something that you did and they get into like, I want to do something like that, or they just say for the very rare chance that they saw one of my videos and like, I want to be mental like that guy, and but it's so awesome that not only did he actually influence you to start
MC, and you do like the silent DJ parties now, and
Mhm.
part in it all ties into the entertainment thing and making people embrace those good feelings or emotions and giving them a good experience despite what they're doing. And I think that's really awesome. Of something that I learned something new from you, so that's a pretty good thing for me.
Right on.
Yeah, so freaking, that's a good thing. Thank you for telling me that.
No, that was a great question. Nobody's ever asked me that. So,
okay.
I guess to bridge off of that, because I think the involved in social media comedy here in Hawaii. I do a lot. But not a lot of other people know is I probably do way more behind the scenes stuff than I do in front of the camera. And so you mentioned that, so New Hawaii is something that I helped to start with Easton James, Clown 808, and a few other people. I also do a lot of stuff with 808 Viral. And a lot of that happened by accident too. So I'm an actor. I love acting. I love being involved in TV and film. And I got an opportunity to be a part of this project. This was, when was this? This was back in like 2015 or 2016. And on that project, I met Russell Satele and Bronson Vardy and Pu'uvai Roback. And those three, for those who don't know, are Lethal Giggles.
They're such good brothers, such hilarious guys.
Yeah. They're great guys, really good guys, very talented. All three of them are actually musically talented as well, besides being super funny. But yeah, I met them the first day we were on set. We had to do this like improv scene, the four of us together. And the three of them, they already had chemistry flowing, and I just barely met them. But we had to put together this improv comedy scene, and we did it. And the director was like super impressed. He's like, "Wow, the four of you have really good chemistry together." And then, they're like, "Oh yeah." So they told me we should do some stuff together. So that's when we started planning some skits together that we did. And a friend of mine, who many people know, Passion, who I met her. We were coworkers. We worked together at the App Store before that experience, and she was doing 808 Viral with those guys well. And so she invited me to do a few things, and so through her and through the boys, Lethal Giggles, we did some 808 Viral stuff. We did some separate stuff. We did Local Bradas for a little while, and then eventually New Hawaii. And that was basically the path of where it all came together.
Oh man, just that's such a good journey that you're actually just looking back out of everything. Most of it, happened by chance, but it's like, wow, some kind of calling just came to me because everything just felt like it fell in place. And like you said, you do a lot of the behind the scenes stuff, and I think that's actually one of the things that people really need to understand when it comes to some of this other stuff. Because I think you have some followers that are always asking you, it's like, how come we don't do a lot of content anymore, or like, what are you really doing besides because I know majority everybody who knows what you do is just mostly the silent discos, right? And
I mean, there's a lot. I mean, I have ADHD, so I'm constantly working on like 10 things at a time. And I would say 90% of it I don't put on social media at all. So even though it might seem like I'm on social media a lot of it is like old stuff that I reshare or something like that. But yeah,
nothing wrong with showing the classics, man.
but I do a lot of behind the scenes stuff. So there's even some local comedy content creators where I've helped to produce stuff for them. I help to write stuff, and there's some comedy content creators on the mainland that I've written stuff for, and I just send it off to them, and they do it and perform it, put it together. So I enjoy the creative process. I love writing. I script a lot of stuff. A lot of times if you see me in a group thing, in a skit where there's several people, a lot of times I'll write out the script for that. So the behind the scenes stuff, I really enjoy it. So a lot of times there'll be videos that come out that you don't see me in, but I had a part in it, and that's okay with me. Even though I do like being in front of the camera sometimes I'm good just being off camera and doing that part.
Okay, yeah, somebody has to do it, right? And then, I mean, I can't think of anybody better than you at the moment.
Wow, I appreciate that.
So, I know you were mentioning, like, we talked about some of the legends of Hawaii comedy and mentioning a lot of the brothers that we normally know, that we kind of personally know and we work with on a almost weekly to daily basis. How do you think about the comedy nowadays as compared to how it used to be? So if you had to think of like an era kind of thing, and how has the comedy evolved over time? And this is like a two-parter. So there's that, and what are your thoughts on clean versus more of a darker or dirtier, more of a alterated kind of comedy? So clean versus dirty.
I like these questions. This is good. So as far as eras, I don't know. Maybe I think I'm kind of weird in the sense where, so when it comes to eras of comedy, of course, like old folks are gonna say the old stuff was better, and they don't like the Instagram comedy today. And the young kids might say, oh, I like the social media kind of comedy, that old stuff's junk. Maybe it's just that I'm in between, but I love both. Like, I love the old stuff. I can go word for word on all the raps, Hawaii stuff. Of course, I'm very familiar with Uncle Frank DeLima's stuff. I know all his stuff. I think Augie T is a genius. I think Kaleo Pilanka is severely underrated. He's super funny. There's several. I mean, there's a lot of stand-up comedians today in Hawaii who are really good. Rayson LeMay being one of them. There's a lot that. Oh shucks! Why did I just blank on his name? He's
got to be somebody underrated. Somebody underrated, guaranteed.
I don't know why I'm blanking on his name right now. He does videos with 808 Viral sometimes too. Daryl Vibrato. Is that his last name? Super funny. But he's a stand-up comedian, and he does stuff with 808 Viral. So I think a lot of these stand-up comedians today who are really good, it would benefit them to do some social media stuff. And then I think a lot of these social media comedians, it wouldn't be a bad idea to go to some of these open mic comedy nights and jump on stage and try some stuff out. I know it's two totally different platforms. I went with some other guys, so me and Easton and Bryson Martin, who's another severely underrated Instagram comedian. Most people probably remember him more from Vine. Killing it in the Vine days. Me, Easton, Bryson, Keely.
And then, Keely Susili. Then you had like Mr. Capania and Just Too Much.
Oh, Jesse. Yeah. But what I was going to say was me, Bryson, Keely, and Easton. I don't remember if anyone else came up with us, but Ray invited us to go do some open mic stuff. And it was a really cool experience. We won a few times, jumped on stage, tried out some material. You know, it's really totally different when, you know, because when you're creating social media comedy, if you don't get it right, you just edit it or you reshoot it, you know, until you get it how you want it. Whereas when you're in front of a live crowd, you don't have that opportunity. You gotta like nail it the first time, you know. So it's totally different, but it's fun. So long answer to your question, but I love the old stuff. I love the new stuff. There's a lot of newer guys that are coming up that I think are super funny. You know, Jesse I.M., he's another guy, super hilarious.
Him and
I could go on and on.
What is this shit? The Lehua thing that he
Lehua
does?
from the Homestead, super funny. And the other character I used to love, two characters he used to do that I haven't seen him do real recently, there was the Elda, the Filipino auntie. Oh, she was hilarious, that character. And then he did like a Filipino nephew. I forget the name of that one, but oh my gosh, those are just, I would laugh so hard I'd cry. But so I love the new stuff too. So there's a lot of really talented, funny people in Hawaii doing comedy, and there's just so much to see, so much to enjoy. I love all of that. And then your other question was clean versus dirty.
Yeah, like what is it? I mean, like whether you choose one over the other, or like your thoughts about anybody doing one or the other.
So, like me personally, it's weird because I do clean stuff for several reasons. And I won't go into all of the reasons, but I just do. I just do clean stuff. But I think some people think that because I do clean stuff, it's because I don't like the dirty stuff or I don't appreciate it, which is absolutely wrong. Because most of the dirtiest comics here in Hawaii, I know all their stuff. I think they're super funny. But just for me personally, that's not my style, and that's why I don't do it. So some of the clean comedians here in Hawaii, like Alex Farnham, he does like all clean stuff, and his stuff is super fun. He's, you know, in my opinion, as far as internet Hawaii comedy, he's a legend. You know, so
started the whole $1. I was like,
exactly, the $1, and you know all that stuff. And then Passion, she does clean stuff, and she's super funny, right? And then you have people who swear more, like Easton, and I think his stuff is hilarious. You know what I mean? And I think most people who are familiar with his stuff like that, or who's another guy who's kind of, he's really pretty dirty. He does some really dirty stuff. Is Royce. His Instagram is Not Funny Royce. His stuff's really dirty, but that's just his style. And so for me personally, like, I guess with these two subjects, like the old stuff versus the new stuff and clean stuff versus dirty stuff, it reminds me a lot of that the same conversations happen about hip-hop music, which is probably my favorite genre of music. And I just love it all. So, like, in hip-hop music, some people condemn, you know, it has bad language, and they're talking about crime and this and that. But that's that person's experience. That's what they know. They're talking about what they live. And I personally think you need to be true to who you are and what your life experience is. And so if all you know is drugs and crime, then that's what you're going to express when you make your art, right? And that's that. And I can appreciate that. Or if there's people like me, people like these other people who do cleaner stuff, I mean, that's what art is.
It's a thing.
That's the way we express ourselves. So really, I think I understand people having a preference. So if there's people out there who only want to watch clean stuff, that's totally up to them. You control what you want to watch. But for me, as not just an appreciator and a fan of entertainment, of music and comedy, but also a creator of the two, I appreciate both sides.
Okay. So such awesome answer for, DC, and for an awesome question. I think it's mostly because if you're going like bringing up the whole era thing, old versus new, dirty versus clean. I think it's just mostly because if it relates to you or something that you understand from listening to it, and it's like, oh yeah, I can relate to that, then I think anybody will find it funny if you know what it's about.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I think it's like until you actually understand how it feels or how it makes you feel personally. I think a lot of the stuff people need to. I think people really need to understand that when it comes to comedy or music or your interest in movies or anything like that, it's all subjective.
That's
And
right.
it's okay. It's okay to give an opinion that you think that this movie is funny. Some people will like it, some won't. And I think people really need to understand from both sides whether they say, "Oh, this is dumb," or "Oh, no, this is good." You're nuts. I think it's just because, like, I think it's just people just need to remember that it's subjective, and if it relates to them, if it's something that connects to them, then I think that's good enough for them.
Yeah.
When it comes to everything.
I don't know if it's just what I see, but I feel like a lot of people who comment on things on the internet are very extreme. Like, for example, the latest Star Wars movie, right? There's some people liked it, some people didn't like it. That's fine. Like you said, art is art. Everybody's gonna have their own opinion of it. And there's a lot of 99% of people are consumers. They'll watch movies, they'll watch comedy content, they'll listen to music, and they have opinions about all of it, even though the majority of them have never done anything to try and create any of it at a level where you're then like publishing it and putting it out there.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
So it's so easy to have an opinion, but which is fine. But when I feel like people are very extreme. So people say like, that Star Wars movie was the worst movie I ever saw in my life. If that's really true, then you haven't seen too many movies, because I can show you probably 50 to 100 movies that are way worse than that Star Wars movie.
Like, there's no need to be melodramatic. Don't be over dramatic or don't exaggerate, okay? Because I've seen Dragon Ball Evolution. That's pretty much like on the list of my worst movies I've ever seen.
So like being an admin for some of these comedy pages, like for New Hawaii, for example. So, the main point of that page was to give a platform to local people who are creating comedy content and put it out there, so that they can reach more people than maybe they could just on their own account. And so in doing so, I often have to protect the people who are creating that content and putting it out there, because sometimes we'll put out a video on New Hawaii and there'll be some really, really nasty comments, right? People going in there. Yeah. And it's really not necessary. Like, if you don't like it, you don't like it. I mean, even if you want to comment and say, I didn't really care for that, whatever, that's fine. But then it gets to the point where some people will make like personal attacks on like the looks of the person who did it or things like that. And then I either sometimes I have to delete those comments and then block those people if I think that, because some of the people who are creating these, well, I'd say most of us who create content, we're going to be a little bit sensitive to it, because you're putting yourself out there, you're exposing yourself. And when some of these newer people, especially like someone who might not have this huge following and this history of creating content, are just trying to put themselves out there and learn, I'll publish them to give them that opportunity to grow, right? And so if some like nasty commenter comes on there and has a whole bunch of negative things to say, they might cause this creator to say, oh, maybe I shouldn't create content. Maybe I need to do something else. I don't want that sort of thing to happen. So a lot of times I have to delete those comments or block those people if I think because if I notice that someone has made like 3 negative comments in a row, then I just block them, because I realize trying to be nasty. But,
yeah, I mean, there's a fine line between giving like productive and very really good criticism on, yeah, yourself was, I didn't find yourself funny. Okay, why? What can I do to make it better? Maybe find a different shtick. Maybe this is not your style. You know, something to build off on to get feedback, not just say, hey, your stuff sucks, you're ugly, you know, all this kind of. It's just meaningless hate, and I agree that this kind of stuff, if it's unnecessary for anybody to do that, because maybe you said the wrong thing to somebody, and you know, you never know if it's gonna come back and bite you in the okoi or anything, right? And and then, you know, since it is social media, I'm pretty sure you know that if you see what is something against me, I like to put people on blast.
Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, there was this one incident with a certain person that we also work with, but I'm not gonna mention it because I got over that already. But I think people really need to stop with the hating unnecessarily, because you know, people do put others on blast nowadays, and it's not gonna look good for you either way. So like, you know, just be nice to each other. Like, come on, we grew up learning. Like, if you don't have anything to say, just shut the hell up. But to follow into that, into like our final question. These are really transitioning very well, man. You're like doing this on, you know, you're not even thinking about it. It's freaking awesome. So the last thing I want to ask, thanks. The last thing I want to ask is, for upcoming people who want to make comedy content or just content on social media or anywhere in general, what are some encouraging words or wisdom, advice that you can give on hoping that these people just starting out or not getting to where they want to be with their followings, they're not finding the crowd yet, still mastering their craft? What is something that you could just tell them that would help turn that around and just keep them motivated for the passion that they want to create?
Oh, I love that question. So I've actually, through all of this social media stuff, I've actually gotten the opportunity to speak to a lot of young people. So there's been a lot of schools and youth groups that have had me come in and talk to their kids, and I get that question. I get that question a lot, and I love that question because there is, I think, because we touched upon how some people can be as far as commenters on social media. And what that does is, for a lot of up-and-coming people, it strikes, you know, a certain amount of fear in them. And it makes them, you know, scared to be like, man, I don't know if I want to put something out because I don't know if I can handle people saying that sort of thing to me. So there's two things that I would say. First and foremost, I would encourage everybody to express themselves in one way or another. So there's people who can express themselves through visual art, through music, through comedy, or maybe you can sew a quilt or something. But regardless of whatever career path you choose in your life, I highly suggest that every single person find some form of creative expression, even if it's just a hobby. Something that you do maybe 2 hours a week. Because for your personal growth and your mental sanity, your overall well-being, I think it's vital that every single person do that. And so in saying that, because I think a lot of people think, oh, well, if I put a comedy video out on Instagram, it's got to be funny, like it's got to go viral, like I got to figure out how to get a viral idea. It doesn't need, your first time at bat doesn't need to be a home run. Like, just get out there, just put stuff out there, because as soon as you start putting stuff out there, the sooner you'll be able to start that next level of growth. So every time, you know, like there's some people who are killing it right now, where if when I say, "Oh, I remember your first video," they're like, "Oh, I'm so ashamed of that first video," and it's like, no, like, yeah, of course you're better now, but there were some good things going on in that first video, you know. But for them, because they see how far they've come, they feel like they're ashamed of that first video, but don't be. Like, that was all part of the process, right? And then vice versa, right? So there's some people who the first stuff they came out with just killed, and now maybe some of the stuff they've been doing more recently isn't as well received. But that's just the way it is. I mean, we go up and down with our creative process, and what audiences want and how they receive it changes. So my first piece of advice for every single person is put stuff out. Put it out. Who cares if it bombs? Who cares if it bombs? Sometimes stuff bombs. So what? Right? I mean, you look at someone like, I don't know, some like a legendary singer like Beyonce, right? People look at her, she's a mega superstar. But I can name a few songs where people go, "Oh, I don't remember that song." Yeah, because it just didn't do well. Right? Not every single song she puts out is a smash hit, but that's okay. She just keeps putting stuff out. So put stuff out, first and foremost. Put it out. Keep putting it out.
That's an awesome,
and learn from
it. Awesome.
Right?
That's like a...
I'm
loving these answers, man.
Don't overthink it. Just do it. Just put it out there. It's unfinished. It could have been better. So what? So what?
Yeah.
Every movie producer, every director, they all have movies that they're like, oh, but they had to put it out. It was part of their growth process. And the second thing I would say is, in regards to people who have a hard time with you know, negative commenters, those people typically, I mean, they really are just reflecting their own insecurities, right? So it's hard. Like, there's one of our people who's they produce comedy content that we put out on New Hawaii, that reached out to me one time and was saying that they were feeling really low because a lot of people are saying negative things on their video. And in reality, that person had like 100-something comments, and only 3 of them were negative. But to this, right? But to this person, and I've done the same thing, those negative ones just seem to take up so much space in your head. They get magnified, right? It's all you see. It's all you can think. You're like, oh my gosh, everybody hates my stuff, and it's not true. You know, it's like there's a few little haters who have their own personal things that they're going through that cause them to say what they said and reflect their feelings upon you. You were just a target, right? Like the person who's stressed out at work and comes home and kicks the dog. The dog did nothing wrong, right?
Oh, poor dog.
So it's the same sort of thing. So if you're going to put yourself out in the public space, either one, don't read the comments, or two, ignore the negative ones. Don't let them outweigh all the positive ones. Focus on the positivity. Let the haters hate. That's their job. That's what they do. Don't let it get you down, because your job is to create. We are creators at our core. Every single one of us is a creator in some shape, form, or fashion. And that's why we get so much of a feeling of fulfillment when we create something. So everybody listening to this, please create something. And then when you're done with that, create something else and keep going.
Yeah. Awesome answers of inspiration from Crichton. Man, that wanted to make me cry, man. It was so touching. Like,
great.
I just want to put it out there because I'm going to use myself as an example. I don't think I'll write out a lot of my stuff. I just put it out there. It does good. It does bad. I really don't care. But you know, I want to know that there's going to be like that small group of people that's always going to like my stuff no matter what, and they're just like, hey, you don't make a lot of content anymore. It's like, yeah, I'm running out of, I don't have any ideas right now, so that's why I do other stuff. So Be patient. But it's because I took that break for a while, and then I had to clear my head in order because I wasn't feeling like I wasn't creating anything even that was satisfied by me. So I was like, yeah. But usually the stuff just comes to you, and you just go out and do it. Just don't think too much about it. And I know where it's coming from, humble beginnings, everything like that. So yeah, guys, it's just like Crichton just said. If there's something you guys like to do, if it's whatever your craft is, whether it's maybe if it's something that you do hands-on, post a video about it. Do like a time lapse of you actually creating it from start to scratch. See how it is. People might like that kind of stuff. Nobody knew that anybody was gonna like time lapse drawings or paintings, or nobody knew that. Man.
I love
like
that.
Mukbangs. I love that stuff.
Yeah, I could watch that all day.
Yeah. Nobody knew that ASMR, mukbangs was gonna be a thing. There's like a disorder that people actually don't like that kind of stuff, but it's a big thing. So you never know. Maybe the thing, it makes you hungry every damn time.
I like watching little Korean girls eat humongous amounts of food that I cannot eat. That's crazy.
Oh my God, it puts me to shame, and I feel bad.
I kept on watching. I'm like, wow, look at her mop that whole plate, that whole table of food. That's crazy. Yeah, I love all that stuff.
A big ass bowl of like ramen or udon, like noodles, and what the hell, man?
Thing like twice the size of her head, and she's just mopping the whole thing. That's crazy.
Yeah. Like, damn, you're smaller. You're like the same size as my dog. It's crazy. And I was like, I thought I was known for eating a lot, though. Like, frick.
No, but I like where you're going with this thought. Nobody thought a lot of these things would be entertaining to large groups of people, but here we are in 2019, with kids watching videos of other kids opening toys. Like, there's an audience for everything. Yeah. And I kind of said it earlier, and I'm gonna say it again. Like, if you want to create, and I'll take it a little bit further, if you want to make money creating things, do it. Like, this is the time to do it. Or if you want to just do it as a hobby, then do it as a hobby. Like, have a career, and then when you have time, create on the side just for fun. But it's that time where you can do anything, and there are audiences of people. Thanks to the internet, we can connect to people all over the world. There's people somewhere who will enjoy what you do, regardless of what it is that you enjoy doing.
Exactly. And final words of that, thank you, Crichton, for the awesome answers, inspiration for other content creators. You helped me get started and everything like that. So I gotta say, from everybody else listening to this, Crichton helped me build my audience, and I appreciate everything that he tried to push my content that I've been creating, and helps bring in my audience for WMOW Wednesdays. Whether people like the topics I talk about or not, but anyway, it helped build. So if you guys really want, to build your following, increase your numbers for your likes or comments, whether you do it for fun or you really want to get attention or anything like that, like Crichton said, just do your stuff. Put it out there. You never know. It might take you by surprise, because he took me by surprise. I tell you that. And
you didn't know I was gonna message you.
No, I was like, "Who is this?" Because I was like, I don't know who this person is until I looked and I said, "Oh, I do know who this is." And I was like, "Oh my God, I follow him. I watch his stuff all the damn time. Oh my God, I'm such an idiot." Wait, why is he talking to me? What did I do?
The last thing I want to say is one of the things that brings me the most joy in life is helping other people to reach their goals. So if I see anyone out there making an effort to accomplish something, and I think there's something I can do to help further their efforts, then I'm going to do it. So if anyone listening to this, you have some sort of goal and you think I might be able to help you, just reach out to me. Just DM me, Crichton Uale. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, whatever. Reach out to me. Most likely, I will make time to help you reach your goal, because I just love love spending my time doing that. And people from Hawaii especially, you know, I was born and raised here. I left Hawaii 3 times. All 3 times I came back because this is home. And I strongly believe that we as a people here in Hawaii are super talented, and the whole world wants to see us. They want to know what we are, what we do, how we do it. And so if anyone from Hawaii, you are trying to do something big, then I promise you, even if I don't know you, you don't know me, I'm rooting for you and I want to help you. So let me know.
Crichton Uale, everybody from Hawaii 808. Very good. Does his own thing. Please, if you guys aren't following him on Instagram, what is your Instagram? Go ahead.
It's just Crichton Uale. That's CRICHTONUALE. That's my full name, my first and last name, Crichton Uale. So I'm not hard to find. The only hard thing is how to spell my first name. It's spelled like Crichton, but it's pronounced Crichton. It's weird, but I didn't name myself, so it is what it is.
Hey, whatever you give, you gotta make it appreciated because that's the only thing you got in life. So, if anybody else is interested in getting a hold of Crichton, then you guys can also just DM me on Instagram, Hawaiian Blanca. If you guys have my Facebook, you guys can. I'm not gonna give it out over here. If you guys know it, you guys know it. Then just DM me on Instagram. Just go and say. You guys can also DM Gregory Chi. That is at 808 Project D. So Gregory, his last name is pronounced Chi, but it's actually spelled Kyi. So you guys can also DM him. He's going to be my partner in a lot of these podcast kind of style videos and audios for podcast app.